It's your first day as a developer. You sit down, your colleagues sent you the link to the repo, they tell you just run the app, and you were completely lost. This happened to me, and I realized that I wasn't alone. Most junior developers don't struggle because they're not smart. They struggle because no one tells them what actually happens on day one. In this video, I'm going to show you step by step how dev teams actually work, what tools you need, how to handle that scary .env file, and how to look like you've done this before, even if it's your first time. Imagine this, it's your first day as a developer. You're excited, but you're also super nervous. Your colleague sent you the link to the GitHub repo, you clone it, and oh my god. This is what you get, a huge folder with lots of files, and what a mess, and you start panicking. Today, I will walk you through the things you need to do on your first day as junior developer, so you don't need to panic. First thing is to download the tools that you're going to need. Most modern dev projects will need at least these tools. One is going to be Git for the version control to download and sync the code with your team. Two is going to be Node.js. You will probably need this, whatever you do. This is to run the project if it's JavaScript based. And for some of you, you will probably have to use Docker, which is often used to run databases or services locally. Again, it really depends. Your team should tell you what to install, but if not, it's okay to ask, what tools do I need to run the app locally? Next thing is we're going to look at this very complicated repo that you just cloned. I know it's scary, but there's many ways to understand it quickly. First thing is to go inside of your package.json here and try to see how it's made. You will have a name, a version, a description, and mainly you will have a part here called scripts. The scripts here show you exactly the scripts that need to be run. These are commands that you can run. And I know that this is scary because I intentionally took a real project that I worked on. And so this is exactly what a project can look like. I know it looks scary, but the one you need to find is start here. The one you see on line 15 is going to be the one you will probably need. Or if you have one that is start dev, this is the one that you will need to run. For those of you who don't know how to run scripts, this is how we do it. You open a terminal, and the first thing you do is npm install. This is going, before you run the script, you need to run npm install. This is going to look at all of the libraries inside the dependencies and dev dependencies. These are all some code that your repo needs to run. So if you just run npm install and hit enter, it will install everything that is listed here under these dependencies in your package.json. That's the first thing you need to do. Once you have done this, the second step is to do npm run and the name of the script that you want to run. In our case, this is probably going to be start dev. So I'm going to do npm run start dev, and this is going to run this command: nest start watch preserve watch output. And this is going to run well because we now have Nest installed, because when I did npm install, what happened is the Nest that is defined here inside of inside of the libraries, here, this package here, which is inside the dependencies, when I hit npm install, it got installed. So far we have cloned a repo, we have installed the tools, we have run npm install, and we have run npm run and the name of the script we want to run. That's probably still not enough because we will now need access to different environments. But what is an environment? An environment is simply put a way where the code runs. Currently, when you are running your code, it's only going to run inside of your local machine. So whatever changes you make here are going to run on your computer. But before it goes from your computer to the live production, it will go through different places. Imagine you have just finished coding a feature on your local machine. You will merge it to a branch that is probably going to be called dev, depending on the company, but usually most companies are going to have a branch where everyone collaborates called dev. If you break anything here, that's fine because you're still inside the company. Then, depending on the workflow of your company, anything that changes on dev can be merged to another branch that probably will be called staging. So staging is where your boss tries to test the code. This is where the quality control tries to test it. If they're happy with it, they will probably merge it to another branch called nightly Once again, it really depends on your company, and every company has a different Git workflow. Nightly is for the beta users, for the users who are okay with having a few bugs in their app as long as they have the latest features. Once everything works on Nightly, usually your boss or the DevOps will make it merge to the last branch called Production. Production, this is where the website is completely live. If you have any bug in production, that's really bad. These are the 5 different environments that you can find in most GitHub workflows, from the startup to the bigger company. On the left side of this dash here would be anything that is inside of the company. You know what? I'm going to trace it again. So actually, this would be a better place to put it. So anything on the left of this line would be the company side. So local machine, dev, and staging would be on the company side, while anything that is in Nightly or production would be the customer side. So again, if you have any bugs on the customer side, that is bad. This is when you have angry phone calls. Bugs that you have on the company side are less serious. Obviously, you will try to make your code work from the first try on local machine and test it on dev before you make any further changes. So what we have just seen is called a Git workflow, and you will definitely have one no matter how small or big the company is, and it will probably follow the same structure. But this means every code is going to run on different environments. For example, the code you run on your local machine is going to run on a local database, while the code that you run on the dev is going to talk to the dev database, and so on. Every environment has its own database because obviously we don't want to change the customer's database. I know it looks scary, but actually this is why we have one file called the .env file. Every project will have one here. So obviously here I deleted it because I don't want you to see it, but I put a .env.example here, and every repo is going to have something like this. Every environment is going to have its own .env file where it will define these variables. For example, on this environment, the Mongo port will be 31000 and the Mongo host will be this IP address. This is where you put all the sensitive data, the localization of databases, the passwords, and the logins. So all of these sensitive data is going to be inside of a .env file. So the next step will be to ask this .env file to your colleagues, because most of the time, because it is so sensitive, it will not be put with the rest of the repo. This means that after you clone the repo, your colleague will give you this file either by Slack or on a USB key, because it's not going to be on the repo. Here's a little tip from a senior developer. Because it's not tracked by Git, you will often end up with many different versions of this .env file, and if you have 10 colleagues, I guarantee you will have at least 3 or 4 different versions of this file. So make sure to ask a senior developer to look at this env file and to make sure that it's up to date with the best and the correct values. So much for the technical part, but now how do your colleagues really work together? So how do my colleagues work together is a great question to ask. Because every dev team has a system to avoid breaking each other's code. This system is called a Git flow, very similar to the one that I just showed you. The idea is simple. You create your own copy of your code on a branch, you make your changes, and then you ask for a review before merging your work. This is called a pull request on GitHub. But some teams may have extra rules. So for example, some may have some tests that must pass, or a senior must approve, or builds are done automatically. It's called CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. So on day one, you should ask, what is your Git flow and how do we merge changes? Every company will have different rules, so it's important to make sure that you know sometimes it's not just pushing and merging, there might be other processes. And make sure that a senior developer watches you commit your first changes. You can also go to the Actions tab on GitHub. This is where the automated pipelines live. So here's a very simple project that I have been teaching. If you go on the Action tab here, you can see one workflow that has taken place recently. This one was built and deployed. So there was a script that was built. Then GitHub automatically created a status and also deployed it to the URL here. So that's it for your day one of survival guide. If you go through these steps, you will already look like a pro, not because you know everything, but because you ask the right questions. I created a full program to go even deeper into this. Not just how to write code, but how to work like a real developer. In this tutorial that I have built, we see how to create beautiful programs. This is an example of an AI bot that we have created together. I teach you all the good steps that make you a senior developer quickly. So how to debug smart, how to structure your code properly, how to get onboarded fast, and how to work in a team with confidence. And yes, building cool stuff that works. This AI bot is just one of the examples of the programs that we will be building together, and when we're done, you will understand exactly how to work like a senior developer and get that confidence that you need. So click the link in the description to join the early access list and tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you wish someone had told you before your first dev job? Thanks for watching and see you soon.